Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to the part 2 of the attrition analysis. In the first part, we actually dealt with the cleaning of the data and transforming of the data using Power Query. In this part, we're going to be talking about analysis, we're going to analyze our data using pivot table. But before we start analyzing our data, we want us to do something. So, number one, who are the people affected by the attrition rate? The people affected is going back from our problem statement, we notice that is the people in the organization. People in the organization, that's what we have here. That's the people in the organization, in the audit department, or in the HR department, or employee. So for we to actually know how these people are affected, we need to break down this all employee into different demographics. We need to break them down into the age group, into the department, into the different years of service, and the work employment type. So from there, we know how many people are leaving the organization based on different demographics. And number two question is, what are the reasons why people are actually leaving the organization? Now, this is what we call the root cause analysis. Number one reason that we can actually see from the data, looking at this data, we can see that one of the reasons that can let people leave the organization is number one, we have the satisfaction rate. If you're not satisfied with your job, you're eventually going to leave. Number two, we have the salary. If your salary is not enough, you're actually going to leave. Distance for work, this is the third part. So that's the three things we are going to do. And two things we're going to do. We're going to first do the demography analysis and the root cause analysis. So now let's start by the first thing we're going to do. We want to create a pivot table. So how do we create a pivot table? Because we want to summarize all this data. So let me cancel this and let me just go to this place and write. So this is what we want to do. Let me write. Number one, this the demography analysis. Then under the demography analysis, we're going to be talking about the salary. So that's it. Control X. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do demography analysis and the root cause analysis. These are the charts we're actually going to bring out for that. So let's continue. For the demography analysis, we will go to, I'll click any point. Now I want to summarize this data to actually know this is the first one we're going to do. We want to do what number of employee per the department. So for us to answer that questions, we're going to come up here. Let me first bring out my ribbon. Always show ribbon. For the formula bar, I don't need formula bar for now, so I'll go to views and I'll check this. If you don't, this is my formula bar, I don't need that. So I'll go to insert. I want to create a pivot table now. Pivot table drop down and I click on from table stroke range. It's going to select all the parts. Then I'll check this and I'll click on OK. So a new sheet will be created. A new sheet will be created. So let's wait for it to come up. Sorry about that. Now a new sheet has created. So now this is what we call the pivot table. These are the fields where I can actually drag in my data. Now what is pivot table? Pivot table is used for actually summarizing our data in order to answer specific questions. In pivot table, we can actually write DAX to write. You can use DAX to create measures and then for complex calculation. Now, if I want to know the number of employee based on the department, I'll bring in my employee ID into the values. Because that employee ID is a text data type, is going to do what? It's going to count the employee ID. It's going to count the employee ID. So let's scroll down. The department, I'm going to drag that into the rows. I'll click the departments and I'll drag it into the rows. So I'm going to see here the departments and the employee inside those departments. So what it's telling us? It's telling us that, let me click here, right click, and I'll go to sort. I'll say from the largest to smallest. So production has the highest employee, we're followed by the IT, followed by the sales, and the least is marketing. So I will try to rename this. Let me rename this. I'll come here and write employee. No, let me do number of employee per department. All right, and hit enter. So let me rename this to my clean data too as well. I'll rename this to clean data. Just rename it to clean data. Clean data. So this sheet one, I don't have anything to do with it. I would just right click and delete for now. And back to this place. Now I want to bring up my chart. I'll select this, select any point in your pivot table, then come to pivot table analyze. I'm going to bring out a bar chart for that. So I'll choose bar charts. So this is the chart I'm going to bring out, and I'll click on OK. So it's going to get populated here. So let me do something. I'll come back again, right click, and I'll say sort. Then I want from smallest to largest. So let's change, yeah, from smallest to largest. So production is the highest, IT, sales, and marketing. So we've answered the first question. Now moving to the second question, which is we want to check for number of employee per years of service. Number of employee per years of service. That is years of service group. Years of service group. Let's change that to years of service group. Is this years of service group? Years of service group. Yeah. So let's proceed. I would go to my clean data. I'll come back to my clean data to create a new pivot table. So I'll go to insert, then I'll click on the pivot table drop down from table stroke range, and I'll check this just the same way I did for the first one, and I'll click on OK. Now I've created another pivot table to answer another question. Now I said that I want to check for the number of people working in the organization based on the years of service they've spent in the organization. I remember we actually did that, the years of service group in our Power Query. Then I'll drag my employee ID into the values. I'll come down here, and here's a service group. I'll drag that to the rows. So it's going to give me, this is entry level, we have the 76, mid level we have the 55, and the senior level we have the 42, meaning that there is the least, the highest is the entry level. So let's click here and let's go to the pivot table, and yeah, we're using the column charts, then we click on OK. So I'll drag this to this place. So let's rename this to number of employee per YOX group, and I hit enter. So the next one, which is the next question, we want to have, we answer two questions now under the demography analysis. Now we want to get the number of employee per age group for under the demography. Now number of employees. So the same thing, we're going to create a pivot table again for that to answer the next question. Then you can see now solving the problem is like you asking the question and answering the question. So in the point of view and solving the problem, you are going to ask the key questions, the necessary questions. Then from there you can now start answering the questions. Now you can see I've dragged down my employee ID down to the values. Now I would I'm looking for what, let me see, that is age group here, age group. So I'll not use the age, I'll go to the age group down here, click on the age group and bring it to the rows. So I don't know, it seems, did I explain this? Now let me explain this for points in a pivot table. This is a categorical data, this is a numerical data, and this is where you put in your subcategorical data, and this is where you filter. Now let me explain this categorical data in the sense that if I say 500 female, the female there is a categorical data, the 500 there is the numerical data. So the female is giving me the attributes, or is trying to label the 500 for me. So that's why I have there. So the values, what we do is that values converts any field I put into it to a numbers. Now we have employee ID. The employee ID is a text data, that is a categorical data. But once it comes into the value, the system actually perform aggregate, a simple aggregate like count, distance count. It cannot perform sum on it because the employee ID is a number, is a text. Sorry for that, is a text and not a number. If it was to be a number, the system will automatically sum it from us. So that's what you get here. So everything that has to do with numbers is inside here. That is, if your output is going to be in numbers, that's what I'm trying to say. Not like the field you're bringing into it is going to be a number, but the output you're getting from that values is going to be numbers. So now this is what you have here. The age group, this is it here. The count of employee, this is what you have here. So let's proceed. Now I want to bring out a chart for this as well. I'm going to use a column chart for this. Then I'll hit on OK. So I have this. All right, let me rename this to number of employee per age group. All right, hit enter. I would have loved we change these colors of our sheets. Let's give it different colors. But yeah, let's give it different colors. Let's just give it a different colors. Let me use this color black. I choose different colors, and then let me use this color blue. Select this, and I'll choose this color. So back to my so the last one is number of employee per employment type. Number of employee per employment type. So this is my employment type. I would go to my insert, then create a pivot table to answer that question. I'll check this and I'll hit on OK. Now the employee ID, I'll bring it down to the values. Then the employment type, I'll take it down to the rows. So we have the contract, the full-time, and the part-times. So now let's select this, right click, I'll sort from the largest to the smallest. So full-time is the highest. So now let's rename this to number of employee per employment type, M type. So just in short, M type, I made it to be short, M type. So let me just rename this, and I'll go to the column. I'll choose a different color. All right, let me bring us a chart. Just select inside here, then go to your pivot charts. Then I'm going to use a column chart for this as well. it's okay. So now we have this. Okay, good. Now in the next we've actually done our demography analysis. Now let's go to the root cause analysis. We want to answer all these questions. So let's put number 3 here. There's going to be our KPIs. We're going to have 4 KPIs. KPIs is what KPIs is like the numbers, the metric you see in your dashboard that actually tells you what the dashboard is all about. And is a key is a parameters or number you measures based on your if you're actually doing well or you're doing bad. You understand? Is it like a numbers which you check to measure your performance. Now, the first thing we're going to check about the total. In our KPIs, we have the, let me just write KPI here, KPI. Then we have, under the KPI, we have the total number of employee. Number 2, we have, sorry, that's one break then, so we'll continue from here. So next we have attrition rate. We're going to be getting our attrition rate. So let me just come here, tab. We have attrition rates. The next one, after the attrition rates, we have what we call we're going to do data availability attrition rates, average. You're going to get the average age and average salary. Yep. So these are going to be our KPIs. So back to the root cause analysis, we want to check for number of employee per salary group. Now back to this. Okay. Clean data. Then we'll go to the inserts. Pivot table drop down. Then we'll go this. So we want to check the number of employee based on their salary they are receiving. Then remember that we've actually grouped this into different group. So we bring in the employee type, employee ID into the values, and that will count the total employee. So we come down, scroll down to the salary group, we drag down into the rows. So we have this. So let me sort. Okay, if I can just select this and let me see if I can source from here. No, it's not showing because of the dollar sign. So what do we have here? Okay, let me just source from here. This was meant to be source from the largest to the smallest. So the largest amount of people collecting 80 from 5,000 to 6,000, it's 86 work player collecting the amount of money. While the least is from 688 to 1,147 two people are collecting the amount of money. So now let's rename this to number of employee per salary group. It's enter. So I would right click here, go to tab color. I'll choose a color. I could choose just green. Let me choose green. Now good. Back to, oh no. Let's bring out our charts for this. I'm going to use click on pivot table analyze, click on pivot chart. Alright, so let me just use a bar chart for this as well. I'll click on OK. So click here, right click, I would say sort from the smallest to the highest. So it's going to change now. So we have this. Alright, good. So back to the clean data. The next one is number of employee per satisfaction group. So we're going to do something. Go to insert pivot table, click on this, yeah, satisfaction group. I want to see the number of employee that actually choose based on 1, 2, 3, or 5. If they are satisfied with their job, we want to see the employee that the rate at which they are satisfied with their job. So all right, this let's sort by this. Let's sort by labels and let's leave the values because we want to know. Let it show based on good, very bad, bad, and etc. So for us to achieve this, we need to go to our power pivots, then go to manage. Go to manage. So let's wait for it to come up. Now, if you don't have power pivots on your system, I will create. You can write me up on the video description or in the video comments on the video and tell me I should create a video on that. So I can actually create a video on that on how you can bring out your pivot table. You understand? So now let's go on to. We want to do what we call sort by. So I want to sort this column by this column. So I'll select this column and I'll go to the sort by and I'll click on sort by column and I'll choose satisfaction rates. So I want to sort this column by this column. Then I'll hit OK. So now the magic is done. Just close this. So now I have it. I have let's wait. Very bad, bad, neutral, good, and very good. So what are we seeing here? Only one person went for very bad. 30 people went for bad. 24 went for neutral, and 88 went for good, and 27 went for very good. See, let's not be confused here. This is actually people that have actually left the organization and still in the organization. So for now, we still does not know what the people that have left the organization what they choose, because now what the figures we're having here is for both people that are in the organization and people that have left the organization. We've not actually filtered to see people that have left the organization what they are actually saying. So now let's just rename this to number of employee per satisfaction group. Per satisfaction is okay, then hit enter. So we're going to right click, go to tab color, let's choose yellow. Let's choose yellow for this. Now the next one, we've answered this. Now it means number of employee per distance from work. Number of employee per distance from work. So we're going to create a new pivot table for that. Okay. So we check this on okay. So the employee ID, we drag it to the value. So distance from work, okay, distance from work. So distance group, then I'll drag this here. All right. So let's leave this there. Let's see. If I right click here and go to sort, say from the largest to the smallest, let's see. All right. Okay, I think we're good to go. Good. So let's bring in our charts. Did they bring in our charts for this? no, we didn't. So we'll just click here, then let's use this charts. Let's use this charts. So let's rename this to uh, number of employee per distance. You go enter. Sorry, number of employee per distance. So we will right click here and go to tab color. Let's choose any color. So now good. Now let's visualize. So we click here, we go to pivot table analyze, and we'll go to pivot charts. So we're going to use this column chart. Should we use column charts or line charts? I feel like we should use the line charts. Yeah, use the line chart. But if you're going to use the analyze chart, if this thing is correct, yeah, it's good. But at some point, maybe having issues. Let's just use this. Let's just use a column chart, please, and click on OK. All right. Okay. All right. So the next thing is we want to look into. We have done this tree. Now we are going to relationship between age and salary, and relationship between years of service and salary. We want to know the relationship between them, if there is a positive or negative relationship. So for how we're going to achieve that, we're going to use what we call a scatter plot. So we'll create a pivot table for that. So we'll go to insert and go to pivot table, then choose this. So I would select this and I'll click on OK. So what am I going to do? I would bring in I'll go to, for you to create a scatter plot, you want to know each data point, you want to visualize each data point, in the sense that I'm not going to group those data points into one. I'm saying the data points. Like, let me just show you what I'm trying to say. So this employee ID, I will drag it to the rows. So it's going to show me these are the employee ID we have down to the end. So I want to see their salary. I want to see their the first one is age, right? Let me see what we have here. We are dealing with age, yeah. So I will come down here, then I'll look for my age, the number, not the age group this time around. I'll look for the age. I'll bring my age to the values. So the system will automatically want to sum the age, but it will not be able to sum it up because only one employee ID, only one person here has this age, because of the reasons why I've actually brought in my rows, my employee ID as in the rows. So it's going to give me for each individual employee their age. So now the next thing is that I'm going to bring in my salary. I'll bring my salary down to the values as well. So the system will try to want to sum up the salary, but not be able to do that because of this. So that means it's telling me that this employee ID, which is 0100001, it is 24 years old and is receiving this salary. So, and this person 25 is receiving this salary just like that. So it's giving me all the record of every worker's, their age and their salary. Now, what the points are, why am I doing this? The reason why I'm actually doing this is that I want to see how the data is being distributed and to see if there's a relationship between the age and the salary. Now we're going to use what we called, I said we're going to use what we call a scatter plot. So for me to create a scatter plot, to bring us a scatter plot, I cannot use the data inside here to create a scatter plot. You understand? So we're going to maneuver our ways to achieve that. So I'll click outside here. I'll select outside here. Then I'll click on insert. Then I'll go to what we call the scatter plot drop down. Then I'll click on scatter plot chart. So now this is the scatter plot, but data is not inside the scatter plot yet. So we need to select our data so we're able to visualize the scatter plot. So I will, under the chart design, I'll go to select data. So now to select my data, I'll click on add. So in this my series name, I just write relationship relationship between age and salary. All right. So in the y-axis, this is asking for me for the x-axis and the y-axis. So which is, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So the x-axis, I'm going to use my age as my x-axis and the salary is going to be my y-axis. So I'll click on this point here to select the data. For the x-axis, I'll click here, Ctrl Shift and down. Oh, there's one more thing we need to do. We need to remove our grand total. So sorry, I'm going to cancel this and start all over again. Just cancel this. So I want to remove my grand total. It doesn't need to be in my data. So I'll select this, then I'll go to click on design. I'll click on grand total drop down. I'll say off for rows and columns. I'll select this. So it's going to off it. Understand? So back again, let me start afresh. And now select my chart again. I'll go to chart design and I'll click on select data. So I'll say add data and the series name will be salary relationship between age and salary. So this is my series name. The next one is going to be my series X value. Series X value is the X axis and this is my Y axis, like I said before. So I'll click on this point. I'll click here, then I'll hit Ctrl Shift. I'll press Ctrl Shift simultaneously. I will hold that Ctrl Shift. I will not remove my hand from the Ctrl Shift. Then in the same vein, I'm going to click or press the down arrow button on my keyboard, down arrow button, for me to select every data in that column. So I hit down arrow button, so it has selected every data in that column. Then I'll click here. So for my y-axis, I'll delete this. So I'll click on this point. I'll scroll up again from the beginning. I need to start from the beginning and I'll select the first salary, Ctrl Shift simultaneously. I will hold it down. Don't remove your hand. Then I'll press the down arrow key from your keyboard. Then I'll click here. So I'll hit OK. Then I'll click on OK. So we have this. So let's scroll up. Our chart is formed. Now look at this. Let's look at this now. You see the relationship between 20 to 30 years. The age of people working in the organization from 30 to 20 years are receiving a low amount of money compared to people that are from 40 to 50. They are receiving the highest amount of money. And again, look at it, there is a high disparity, age disparity between these two age group. So from here we can actually see that this age group are actually collecting the lowest amount of money in the organization, while this age group are actually collecting the highest amount of money in the organization. So now let's rename this to number of no relation, not number, sorry, we're going to be relationship between. Consider how we are drawing out our insights out of the data. That is for you to actually draw out a good insights in the data, you must be able to ask the right questions. You must be able to ask the key questions. So when you see a data, what kind of questions can you actually ask the data to be able to answer? So that's why when you see a data, the first thing you do is you're going to explore the data, do exploratory data analysis. We didn't do that because of our time. This is a YouTube video, and I need to be make it short as possible. But normally, when you have a data, the first thing you're going to do is just to explore the data. After exploring the data, you will perform what we call a descriptive analysis, which is what we are doing right now by telling the story of the data. Now, look at it right now. We can actually see that from 20 to 30, the age group are collecting a low amount of money. From 40 to 50 are collecting high amounts of salary. And again, there is a big age and salary disparity between these two age group. So now, moving forward, we say relationship between age and salary. So let me abbreviate this. I think I don't have more space there again. BTW, age and salary. So it's enter. Good. So then the next one we want to check for um let's go to the relationship between years of service and salary. Years of service and salary. I will click on insert, create a new pivot table for that. I will check this and I will click on OK. So employee ID, I'll drag it to the rows. The years of service, I'll drag it to the values. The salary, I'll drag it to the values as well. Alright, good. Now let's insert and bring in a scatter plot. No. I need to do something. I'm making that same mistake again. Let me go to design and grand total drop down and just up this two because we need to off the subtotal that was supposed to be here. Now I'll click outside here. Don't make sure you're not clicking inside your pivot chart. Click outside here, then go to insert, then go to click on this scatter plot drop down, then click here. So you have this. So I'll select data, I'll click on add data, I'll say relationship between YOX and salary. Okay, now my x-axis is going to be the age. So I'll click here, click Ctrl Shift down, down. The x-axis is supposed to be the years of service, not age. Sorry, I say the years of service is sorry, I say age. It is years of service. So I'll click here, then I'll scroll up, just scroll up. Then I would click here, Ctrl Shift and then down. Select all the data there. I'll click on this and I'll click on OK. Then I'll click on OK. So we have that there. So what can we see here? People that are in the organization that are from 3 to 5 years old. 5 years in the organization that are collecting the lowest amount of salary, while people within 0 to 4 are collecting the highest amount of salary, because people just even came in are actually receiving almost 6 plus. 1 year just 6 plus. So I feel like it's for this organization is not basically amount of the years you spent. It could be different factors. It could be like based on the experience on and things like that. So for me, I will advise for my recommendation would be that the company should actually look into these people and look how they can improve them, like give them the necessary training, because now people coming in from the 1 years into that spend just 1 year in the organization, maybe probably they actually brought in experts. They are actually brought in skills that which the organization will need. So these people in this age range, which I know that is they are the 20 to 30, they can actually train them, because I believe that they could have spent like 1, 2, or 3 days, they can just train them for them to improve up to this point. So the relationship between salary and years of service is on a negative side. It is not positive. So there's an issue they need to fix here. So this tells you that they are not training their workers. They are not training their workers. So relationship BTW between years of service and salary. It's enter. So now we are done with our questions. So now I want to move to our KPI. We want to get in our total number of employee, attrition rate, average age, and average salary. So in this, let's come down here. Let's go to our clean data. Let's go to insert and create a new pivot table for that. So we check this. I'll click on OK. All right. So we're going to rename this to, and we're going to rename this to what we call KPI. Then hit enter. So we have total employee. These are total employee. We have the next one is average salary. We drag the salary to the values. We have we want to get, say, this is sum of salary. So we're going to click on this arrow and go to value fit settings and choose average. Then it's OK. All right. Then the next one is we want to get for the average age. So we go and look for the age. We click on age. We drag it here. The age. I click on the age. I'll drag it into this place. I would click on the drop down arrow, value fit settings. Now choose average and click on OK. All right, so we have this showing that in this our KPIs, we can see that the total employee are 170. The average of salary is 4,974, and the average age is 38 in the organization. So the central tendency based on it is most people in the organization fall within the age of 38. Yeah, that's the average age in the organization. So now let's move into the attrition rate. We want to get the attrition rate. For us to get the attrition rate, we are going to use DAX to get that. We're going to use DAX. DAX is data analysis expression. So we are going to go back to our clean data and create a new pivot table for that. I'll go to insert. I'll go to pivot table drop down. I'll click on filter. Then I'll check this and I'll click on OK. Now, there are two ways we can actually get our attrition rates. Two ways. We can use the normal Excel way, and we can use our DAX to do that. So let me show us the easy and simple way, which will actually at the end give us error, give us issue. I'll show up the easy way, then I'll show us the other way around that you can go around it. But the easy way always leads to error, in the sense that if you want to slice, okay, let me just proceed, and I feel like seeing is better than believing. So let me bring in my employee ID to the values. So I want to know people that have left and still in the organization. I can find that value in my attrition, which is saying yes and no. I'll bring that to the rows. So now this is people that are still in the organization, and yes, it's people that have left the organization, which is 28. You understand? People that stay in the organization is 142. People that have left the organization is 28 number of people. Now we want to know by percentage people that have left the organization. That is the attrition rate. So I'll still drag in my employee type, employee ID into the values again. So I'll get another one. So I want to convert this into decimal, into percentage. So let me click this. I'll right click. I'll say summarize value, show value as a percentage column total. Now this is going to give me the attrition rate, that is telling me that 16% of people are actually leaving the organization. But there's one issue with this, is that, so let me bring in my slicer. Let me insert slicer, and I'll check the attrition and click on OK. So now this, the way I'm doing right now is just the easy way. So if I click on yes, you can see it's showing me 100. If I click on no, it's still showing me 100, which is wrong. So we all know that, let me do something. We all know that to get my attrition rate, I need to say 28 divided by the total, which is 170. It is my attrition rate. That's it. 28 divided by 170 is my attrition rate. Now, how do I get the value of 28 and the 170? The 170, because at every point in time when I slice this value that is dividing the 128 is actually changing. We need to get a fixed value for this 170 that will not change. So let's just go into by writing our DAX. Let me delete this. So before you delete that, please make sure you remove the slice, the filter, before you delete the slicer, please. If not, your value will find very difficult to your value will be changed here. So let me drag this out. I don't need this. Now back to writing of DAX, right click here, then create a new measure. So the first measure we are going to write is, we want to get the total employee. We say total employee. Remember, we have our total employee, but I want to start from the basics. The total employee. Then I'll come here, I'll say count tab. I'll have it like the next one will be employee ID. One by counting employee ID. Then I'll close the brackets. I'll change this to number. I'll change this is going to be a whole number. Then I'll click on OK. So that measure is going to count number. So let me remove this and bring in my total employee inside here. All right, good. Now we want to count number of people that have left the organization. So right click, add measures. I want to check number of people that have left the organization. That is attrition number. So I have it. Our attrition number would be calculates. So it's asking for expression. My expression will be total employee, comma, filter by I want to know people that have left the organization. So I would say attrition tab here equals to 2 inverted comma ex 2 inverted comma, they'll close the brackets. So it's going to show me people that have actually, I'll change this one to number. I'll I'll change this to O number, then I'll click on OK. So we've gotten this 28. Now it remains the 170. We've gotten the 28, it remains the 170. Let me just right click and I'll say total employee remove filter. Alright, I'll do calculate. So I'll say total employee give me all. That means what I'm trying to say is that even though I use the slicer, let the slicer not give me, let the slicer not alter the total employee that is going to come out from here. I'll say all, then I'll come down to attrition, then I'll close the bracket twice. Close the bracket twice. I'll check this. I'll change this to number, change this to O number. So you have this. So I'll click on OK. Now we've gotten that. We've gotten the two values. Now it remains one, the attrition rate. Right click. We now want to do the calculation. We say attrition rates. So I would come here, I would say number of attrition number divided by what's it called? This thing without filter, total employee without filter. Yeah. Then I'll change this to number, change this to percentage. So total employee without, this one is just going to 2. I'll click on OK. So now let me just no, attrition rate. Let me right click here and edit. So this is supposed to be in percentage. Oh yeah, percentage, correct, good. So let me just drag this inside here and let's see what we get. Okay, 16. Okay, right click and edit. Let me see something. I'll come here, I'll change this to total, no, attrition. Let me make it total employee. Yeah, I would then leave this and I'll click on total employee and divided by total employee remove filter. I'll click on OK. Alright, that does the job. So now we don't need this. This one is going to be our KPI, which is number of attrition, but we don't need a number of attrition. We only need our attrition rate. So I'll just delete this, right click and delete. Now let me explain the way I actually on a recap note. This is what I did. I first created my total employee as a measure. Total employee is the count of all the employee ID. Then the second one, which is the total employee without filters. So I actually got a constant 170. That even though I click on this yes and no, the 170 will still be the same thing. It's not going to change. It's going to override it. That's why I have all filter. Then I'll change it to number and O number. So that's it. So the next one is the attrition rates. The attrition rates, right? Let's see what we did here. I actually did something. I said total employee, which is this total employee here, and without visa divided by 170. So if I drag those values into here, the system will automatically change that 170 into 142 and 28. So it's automatically at every point in time, this in this row that you have here, this 142 we divide this 170, and it will give me the attrition rate. Then for this row too as well, 28, which is the total employee, because I've already sliced this yes and no, is slicing this 170 that is going to be gotten from this total employee. Now this total employee without remove filter is constant, it does not change. Even though I put it inside here, it does not change, but this one change based on the yes and no. So at every point in time, this value is dividing the 170. Now let me see, let me show us something. If I bring in my total employee without filter, let me bring it as the third value inside here. You can see I have 170. They don't change, it's not changing. So now back to my attrition rate. You can see if I this total employee, this is it, is divided. That means I'm using this number to divide the total employee. We remove filter, which is this number, and this one, this divided by this, I'm getting this. That's it. That's why you're having this value. This divided by this, I'll get this. This divided by this, I'll get this, times 100 as I change to percentage. So that's what I did. I click on OK. So now the next thing is we are done with our KPIs. We are done with our the next part 3 we are going to go into. So let me change this one to attrition rates. So the next, in the part 3 of our video, we are going to go into what we called dashboard, creation of dashboard. So I don't need this here. Let me just remove this. So now this is my attrition rate. So now if I bring in, let me bring in my slicer on the closing notes. Let me bring in my slicer and see what you have there. So I'm bringing attrition, and I click on OK. So now if I click on yes, no, sorry, you can see the 82% still retain its value. If I click on yes, the 16% still retain its value. So from there you can actually see that DAX, you need to know DAX to be able to calculate complex calculation that even Excel cannot give you. So you need to know how to improvise that. So this is the end. This comes to the end of the part 2 of attrition. So wait for the part 3. The part 3 will come out soon. The part 3 we're going to be talking about creation of the what's it called, the creation of dashboard, how to now place all these charts that we've created, we created into one interface, and we use lasers to start drilling them to actually get us insight from them. So thank you very much, and thank you for the time. Please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to share the videos. Don't forget to tell your people about the good things you've been learning from my YouTube channel, and hope to see you next time. Thank you very much. Yeah.